Can you let him make that comment first?
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Initially, I was going to say that the question was unfair, but let me make a comment. Number one, the person that you refer to called Sarah Sajabi joined the fund when I was still in school. So I couldn't have been that powerful when I was at the university to order an institution that I had not worked for to recruit Sarah. So that's one. Okay, so you can go and verify the details that this person joined NSSF around 2004, 2005. I was at Makerere. So that's one case.
Maybe the one who brought you.
Number two, she was too junior to even influence that, a data entrant. And what can demonstrate to you that she couldn't have been the one is how come I'm able to join this company in 2008 and I grew through the ranks. It could only be because someone is competent. But that's one case. Nivea, like I've said, is not my sister. Rashid Waiso that they talk about is not my brother. I don't know him at all in that sense. Someone having a name that is of your tribe does not make them your relatives. You mentioned Amanda.
Chair, can we let him finish?
Let him finish.
Thank you, Chair. You mentioned someone called Ian Lumonya, who happens to be a son of a sister of mine. Ian is not and has never been in my department. The fund advertises a job in investments, I think. Ian, a fresh guy from the university, extremely competent, applies for this job. I do not determine which people sit on a panel for a job in investments, and Ian is doing an amazing job in investments. Sajabe has never headed investments. You mentioned Amanda. Amanda applies for a job in the fund after performing so well at the university, and that job, Chair, for the record, was in HR. Okay, so she comes in and works in HR. Eventually, jobs advertised internally, her just like any other person applies, competes, and wins, and the marks are there. Okay. Then finally, you mentioned Joel Muganza, who again joins the fund as a driver through HR. I mean, if my influence was that big, a driver is the lowest job at the fund.
Okay.
And it wasn't in my department. The gentleman applies, the gentleman sits interviews, is given a job as a driver. Years down the road, he applies for jobs internal and qualifies, and that happens to be in my department without my influence. Chair, finally, to answer this question of who constitutes the panel, it is extremely appropriate for any company globally that when you are recruiting as a recruiting department, you'll have some level of say. So what typically happens at the fund is that they will always constitute a panel of about 5 people. But HR will reach out to the recruiting department to send a representative. Chair, this committee can also go and investigate and confirm whether the person that I send on panels to represent the department is related to Sajabi, either by tribe or by blood. So, Chair, in conclusion, I honestly think that it is extremely unfair to vulgarize a situation of individuals that have gone through the school system in Uganda. Jobs are advertised, they apply, so they shouldn't apply for jobs in a company where a relative of theirs works. And like I've demonstrated, all of them apply through departments other than the one that I lead. And eventually, if they end up in my department, Chair, it's not my business. Thank you.
Chair, I said earlier that as I was building this issue, I said it is not criminal, it is not bad to have people related to you where you work. It is not, as long as they qualify, they have the experience, they have all the necessary qualifications. It's not bad. However, let me ask you this question, Mr. Sajabi. Have you ever declared any conflict of interest for those that you have confirmed they are your relatives to the management or board of NSS and say, this person is here, but is my brother. This one is my sister.
Maybe
you.
before you respond, because he thinks he's being treated unfairly. I'll give you the best example. I am in Parliament, for example, with also a relative, but we came through the right process. What the honorable member is trying to address is not the who,
No.
but the how. So he's trying to address himself to the system, the process, and not the individuals
No.
in the department. So he's asking you, isn't it a coincidence? So he's now trying to challenge the process to see are there loopholes in the process, but he's not specifically attacking the personalities of your relatives and their capacity and educational background. Are you now comfortable?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Yes, I am. So I'm on record, and the right person to confirm to the committee with evidence will be the head of HR, that twice when people were competing for jobs in my department, I sent an email to Milton with the former MD in copy, declaring that for this particular role, I don't want to participate in nominating even people because I've got a relative competing for it. Milton can look for those emails and send you. Thank you.
That's a good practice. And for the record, just to add on what the chair is saying, please take this in good faith. I've said I have just